This video is for teachers. In this video, I will show you how to work with projects that students have shared with you into inboxes that you have created. To learn how to create an inbox, please refer to the tutorial video on that topic. Projects that are shared with you are grouped together under inboxes. So when you log into Noodle Tools, you'll do that through Google Drive and you'll automatically be taken to the My Projects tab. And those projects are actually projects that you might be working on to create your own bibliographies or note cards or samples for students. But actually what we're going to be talking about in this video is the Inboxes tab. So I'll click on the Inboxes tab to go there. And you'll find that projects that are shared with you are grouped under inboxes and sorted by the date of the last revision. In other words, projects that have been edited most recently appear at the top. So the project that I've edited most recently is called Dimick Civil Rights Paper A Block. And in order to see that, I will need to click it. And what happens is a new tab will open up with that title. So Dimick Civil Rights Paper A Block. And then there will be a list of all of the student projects that have been shared to that particular inbox that I had previously created. In this case, I just have one shared project. And to see who shared it with me, I need to go over here on the right, and the student's name and Google Drive name will be listed there. And just to show you what else is available on this screen, on the far left is the project title. That's what the student named that particular project. And then we have a status column. There are 3 options that might be listed as status. The first is actually new. If it says new, it means that you have not viewed or added any comments to the project yet. So that can be handy if you have, if you're going to review a lot of different student projects at different times and you need to keep track of which ones you've already done. It will say new if you haven't done it before. It will say viewed if you have viewed the project and the student has not made any revisions since that time. And it will say revised if the student has made revisions since you last viewed or added comments to the project. So you can click on the status link to see a summary of this project. I'll go ahead and do that. And then there's an option in here. It tells me when I last added comments to the project, and I can view a 30-day history of work done by the student on the project by clicking that link. And then I can scroll through and see date and timestamp and activity, so what the student has done. And that can be handy in monitoring student work. And the next thing is the style. So the style is here the student has created this bibliography using the MLA style, which is what we use as a standard at the high school level. It's Modern Language Association. There is the option to create the citations in APA or Chicago format, and it is pretty easy in Noodle Tools to change the format from one to the other, but school policy is currently to use MLA for all citations regardless of the department. The next column you'll see is entitled Level, and there are 3 different levels that students can be using within Noodle Tools. There is the advanced level, which we use at the high school level, and then there are the starter and junior levels, and they are going to be used for the most part at the middle schools, and they simply provide fewer source options to choose from, so it's a little less confusing for students, but the citations themselves are complete and up to date and accurate. The next 2 columns show you the number of sources that the student has added to the bibliography. So in this case, Ms. Schoen has added 4 sources, and the number of notes or note cards that the student has created in this project. So Ms. Schoen has created 6 note cards for her 4 sources. And then there's some date information. So this is what you can see on the overview page for the inbox. And if you want to see more of the actual work that the student conducted, you will need to click on the name, project title of that particular project. So if I click there, I will now be in that student's work. I can see at the top it's Hamilton Paper. It takes me to a tab called Dashboard, and this is where there are some basic details about the project. I can see if the student has added a research question or typed one in, it'll be put there. If they have typed in a thesis, main claim, or a hypothesis, it will be typed there, and then some history with date and time information. But one of the things that I think is really valuable about Noodle Tools is this sharing and collaboration box. And in particular, if this is a group or paired project, then students can collaborate within Noodle Tools, and they can each add sources and note cards and comment on one another's sources and note cards. And you as a teacher can then view all of this information. So in this case, it's a single student's project, and all I see under user is the student's name and their collaboration status. They can actually be either a full collaborator, which allows them to change, add, delete sources and note cards, or they can just be a peer editor, which allows them to add comments but not change anything in the project itself. And in this case, I can see that Ms. Schoen has 4 sources and 6 note cards, and there haven't been any comments. If there were other collaborators in this project, I would see them listed below, and I would be able to see how many note cards and how many sources each student has contributed separately, which can be quite handy. So that's our dashboard slide. If I want to see the actual sources that the student has created or added to their bibliography, I need to click from the dashboard tab over to the sources tab. Now that I'm on the sources screen, I can examine the different sources that the student has included in their bibliography. I can see over here what media type each source is. So we have a book, a reference source, another book, and an online database. I can also see, in some cases, a live web page link. So in this situation, the student had a reference source and they included the URL for that reference source. And if I were to click on that, that would take me directly to the source itself so I could examine it. And similarly down here, they have something from an online database, and there is also a link to a web page. So if I click on that, it's going to take me right to the article that they found in the database. So if you wanted to examine the articles and see what they're reading, then you can do that right from within Noodle Tools, which is handy. The next column gives you the actual citation itself in MLA format, as well as a little bit of detail about it. So when it was created, if it was updated, and then there's a note that says this is a copy of a pre-formatted citation. What that means most likely is that the student was accessing this material from a database. So it was a book, but it was a book that they found, probably an electronic book that they found in one of our databases. And the databases provide MLA citations that they can simply copy and paste into Noodle Tools as is. And you get to see when they've copied and pasted a citation versus built one manually. So this one here, the reference source also says this is a copy of a pre-formatted citation, whereas the book source doesn't say that. And here I can tell from the citation that this was a printed book that the student was using. So they created this citation on their own, or perhaps they entered the ISBN to search for the details and import the citation. And then over here on the right, you can see there's a note cards column, and it indicates for each source and attached to each source how many note cards have been created. So 2 note cards have been created for this book, 1 for this reference source, and so on. And there's actually the option within or on the sources tab to see the actual note cards if you choose. So if you click on show, then the note card will open up and you can see the different sections of the note card, what the student has put in there. So each note card has a quotation section, a paraphrase section, and a My Ideas section. And it'll tell you when they were created. There are options for the students to add a URL, page numbers, tags, cues, etc. If these are getting in the way and you don't want to see them anymore, you just simply click hide. So that is the source page. If you want to see the note cards that the student has taken on the note card page as opposed to here within each source, so it gives you more of an overview of all of the note cards rather than source by source, then you would click on the note cards tab here, and it will take you to a page like a desktop, and you would see there are different note cards scattered across the desktop here and color-coded by the student that has some significant meaning to their research. And if I hover over each note card, I will get a little bit more information about it. Then I could click on details to get the full note card here and be able to read that. And if I want to go back to the tabletop view, up here there is the option for detail and tabletop, so I simply click tabletop and I will be back there. Just a quick note, and we will be teaching students this in much more detail, but this canvas looks a little bit small, or this tabletop looks a little bit small, but as you can see from this box up here in the top right, it's actually a bird's eye view, and we're only using this small section of the canvas right now. I can drag that around and get myself into another section of the canvas or tabletop, and there's plenty more room to add new note cards, and they're just moving them around. It's not losing anything. I also want you to know that the students have the option to print their note cards, and they can export an HTML file, which I wouldn't recommend, or much more importantly, they can export to Google Docs. And since Noodle Tools is integrated to our NPS Google Docs, in order to get into Noodle Tools, they have to have gone through their Google Docs. So when they click export to Google Docs, it's going to know exactly where to go. They're not going to have to log in again, and it's going to open up and create a Google Doc for them with all of their note cards in it, with nice convenient little divider lines between each note card so that they can insert page breaks if they want, or get out their scissors and cut them, whatever way you want them submitted. So they can also just share a Google Doc with you rather than printing it out. And the other thing I want to show you on this screen is over on the right is an outline. And that is something that this student has created on her own. She can do it by typing in each section, and then if she chooses, she can drag note cards directly into the outline itself, and then the different note cards and sections can be just clicked on and dragged to reorder. I can't do that right now because I am in the teacher view and I can't change the student's project. I can only comment on it. But if the student were in the project, they would be able to click and drag these things around and edit any of them. And then, similar to the note cards, the outline is printable, and they can print the outline only or the outline with note cards, and they will have the same option. Once they select one, they will be asked whether they want to export it as a Google Doc, or they could download to Word as well and print it through those particular vehicles. So that's the note card view and the sources view. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about commenting, so how to leave comments for the student. You can leave comments at 3 different levels. You can leave comments on the entire project, you can leave comments on individual sources, and you can leave comments on note cards. Noodle Tools does not currently have the option to comment on the outline, so you would have to do that separately. But from within Noodle Tools, you can comment on those other options. So I will show you first how to comment on the project overall. And in order to do that, you need to go to the dashboard, which is where you see the details on the overall project. And in the upper right, you would click Add Comment. And a comment window will open on your left. Now, I already added one comment here, which you can see in green, saying nice work on your Hamilton project. This is where you would type your comment in, and you can classify it as either a comment, or if you prefer, you can have it indicate that there is a change that is required. You can have it indicate that your comment is actually a grade, or that your comment is a question, or that your comment is a compliment. So I think I had indicated that this one was a in parentheses it says compliment. But I'm going to go ahead and add a change required. Please change the name of your project to reflect the naming convention I required in the assignment. Something like that. And then you simply click send, and the student will be able to see that comment the next time they log into Noodle Tools, and I'll I'll describe how that works in just a moment. So that's how to comment on the project overall. If you want to comment on an individual source or note card, you would click on the sources screen. And now I'm back to that screen we have been on before, and for each source over here on the right, you'll see there's an options button, and you simply click on options and then add comment, and that same comment window will open here. And again, you'd be making a comment here. Instead of under project, you can see now I'm commenting under sources, and it shows the source that I'm commenting on. And I actually have already left a comment here about this particular source, but I could, and I think that one I indicated was a change required, which is how we can see that's in parentheses. But I could add a grade, and I could say B, and then click send. If I am having trouble leaving comments because this particular window is obscuring what I can see on the screen, I can just pick it up and grab it and move it around so that I can see what I need to see to make my comment. If I want to close this entirely, I just click on the X and the window disappears. Now, to add comments to note cards, there are a variety of different places you can do that. You can click on Show right here within the Sources screen, and once you are inside of a note card, you have the option to add a comment. And the window will open again, but instead of overall project or sources, I'm now adding a note card comment. And here's the note card title, and I'd be adding the comment below. So I can X out of that. So that's one way to add comments to note cards. I can also do that within the note cards view. So if I go to the note cards tab or screen, and in the tabletop view, if I hover over a note card, I can add a comment right there. And same thing, the window pane will open up for note cards. I can type in a note or a comment and indicate what kind of comment it is, and then just click send. Another option, if I'm in the detailed view, I select a particular note card, it comes up, I see the detail, and I can add the comment there. And again, the window pane for commenting opens up, and I can add my comment and click send. So those are the different ways to add comments to the different elements of a student's project. Now, just a few words about viewing comments. When students log into Noodle Tools, up here in the right-hand side, they will see the commenting icon with a red dot with a number inside, and that number will reflect the number of unread comments that are available for them to review. They'll be able to see that same window pane if they click on this. We won't see any comments right now because students haven't commented back to us, but if we were to be a student, we would see the comments that have been left for us, and then they will be able to respond to the comments in a comment thread underneath your comment, so that the next time that you log in, you will also see a number of comment replies made by your students by clicking on the comment icon on the top, and it will open them all up. Now, this commenting feature is also enabled for collaborative projects so that students can share group projects with one another and comment back and forth within Noodle Tools. So I apologize for the length of this video, but hopefully it gives you all of the basics that you need to have in order to provide feedback to students, and it also gives you a flavor for what the student experience is like in Noodle Tools. If you have any questions about these features or any others in Noodle Tools, please don't hesitate to ask a librarian.